So everyone, welcome to this senseFly Academy session about eMotion Free. I am Andrea from senseFly, and today I have with me Stephanie Setou, and the support manager here at senseFly, and Matt Delano, the field manager. So eMotion Free is the software that we from now on going to use for all senseFly platforms and payloads. The idea is not to have two different ones anymore. The idea is to have one for everything. So we'll be talking about how to create a mission today, and with eMotion Free, how to plan your flights, how to check your drone panel about what's going on, how post-flight or flight data manager looks like now, and many other more little details that may not be as obvious for the moment since it's just a bit a new layout. Like the concept of eMotion Free is not only to combine platforms and payloads and everything. We also looking into a little bit of a new concept in terms of planning your flights and missions. First of all, with eMotion Free, you will always create one new mission that can have multiple blocks, even flight blocks for different drone platforms. And per block you can again have several flights. If your block here is longer than a EB battery lasts, the EB will start the block, fly for as long as it can, return home, you change the battery, and it will continue the block wherever it has left off. Means the progress is saved. So one mission equals one project. You have several flights that are aligned to each project. Let's look at this now in eMotion Free. Opening eMotion Free brings you to this welcome screen. So there is no connection type of window anymore. We end up here in this welcome screen. And in this welcome screen, that's the place where you need to create your mission. There are 3 ways you can create your missions. You can create a new mission. You can load a mission from a folder. Or you can load a mission or create a mission by grabbing one that you've recently done or one that's your favorite. In order to create a mission, you can select here the drone types that you have available or that you want to use for your mission. Same for your payload. You just select what you need or what you're going to use. Now, for me, if you're following along or so, you can already click here on Create Mission, which will bring you into the Function tab Mission. Me, though, I have prepared some of it, and I will take it from here. So basically, this mission, my favorite mission here, I'm going to take a copy of this mission because I don't want to lose what I have already done or covered with this previous mission. I give it a name. I call it senseFly Academy and click OK. We have it still. Okay. SFA then. Voila. Good. So now we are in the Mission Function tab, we call them, and here we do all our flight planning. You notice maybe that we're still not connected to any drone. We're not connected to a simulated drone nor to a real drone. The tab up here, the toolbar, hasn't changed that much. What's different is we have a couple less of satellite map services here. Then though here the layer button is still the same, and what's obvious here is the 3D. So eMotion Free is new for eMotion X users. This may already be familiar that you have the map view here in 3D. This is now going to be available for everyone, and you can see, you will also see your missions in 3D. Now on the map layout, you have the arrow, the north arrow, so in case you somehow get lost by scrolling through your 3D view, you just click on the arrow and it brings your map back to north. If it's hard for you to change the 3D view with your mouse, so if you are in this normal view, you probably have the change of angle here on your mouse wheel. If you don't like it or you don't want it, you can press on C in order to change to rotation mode. Using this mode, you can just right-click into your map, left-click, and move your map around in 3D or forward, backward, as you wish. Now from here, we have again here the center map on drone or the location button as we know it to find a place. Then we have the zoom levels here, the image footprints, and then a new tool, and that's the measuring tool. If you activate it and you bring your hand into the map, you can measure a distance like this. Go from here, okay, and this distance will be given to you in 2D measurements and in 3D measurements, plus the up and down as well. If there is any change, we can see there is a little bit of up but no down now for my example. If you want to leave the tool, you deactivate it. This can be helpful if you need to know a certain distance for either planning your flight or to make sure that you have enough room from some trees or houses, etc. Good. Then what's new as well, and this is a fairly new concept, this hasn't existed neither in eMotion X nor in eMotion 2, are those notifications. This works a bit like a checklist sort of thing. So you have blue messages and yellow messages, and these notifications, they come in different colors. So blue is giving you advice. Maybe you forgot for the moment to set your home waypoint, or to set your working area radius and ceiling, or suddenly you planned your mission and somehow it touches your working area radius and ceiling, or something is really not good. So here it says, for example, start waypoint out of working area, which is critical. If you are in this situation, you will not be able to do your mission. You really have to change either the place where your start is, or you have to change your working area. Notifications can be acknowledged. Also, it is possible to use here these two icons to either place, for example here, the missing home on the position of the drone, or to place it manually. For example here, for my rotary blocks that I have here, I have a round POI block and I have a panorama mapping, which only Iris can do. I still haven't defined yet my start and home. So either I can place it using here the manually placing icon, or based on the drone's position. In order to place it based on the drone's position though, I would have to connect first. We'll see that later though. Now I place it manually. So somewhere here. Of course, one can still change that setting if one wants to. Now here, mission planning tabs. Before we had everything, at least in eMotion 2, we had everything on the right-hand side. Now it's split up into mission planning on the left-hand side and everything concerning the drone on the right-hand side, as we'll see later. So on the first tab here, we have the working area, which you can size to the specifications that you need or that are useful in your location. Now just below you will find this download map button. Let me just show you this here. Maybe I go back into 2D mode. Okay, so if I click now the download map data, eMotion will download everything around this working area with a margin of 300 meters. At least that's the default. In the options, you can change this margin. Just be aware, it's not like before anymore where you choose your square. If you click here, it will just download the area. You don't really see something popping up. Then here we have estimated mission wind. So from the weather forecast just below, the wind speed will be estimated for the area where you're planning your mission. Also, you have the option to plan all your missions crosswind. Means that instead of flying here along the highway, you could select it and go back and then plan the mission according to the wind direction of the forecast. But one has to be careful with this option because one risks that if you have elevation changes, your flight lines are not adapting well anymore to the change of elevation, and therefore you might have differences in resolution, and in the end, after processing, your data set might not be in the correct resolution anymore. On the second tab, you have everything concerning takeoffs, landings, and transitions. You can have several takeoffs. So you see that I already have a rotary wing takeoff and I have a fixed wing takeoff. Now I could add another fixed wing takeoff if I'd want to. On the landings, it's the same thing. I could select from landing for a rotary or a circular or a linear landing for the fixed wing. Under the little arrows just next to the takeoffs or the landings, you get into the properties for this takeoff, and under parameters you find even more details to change if needed. Normally that's not necessary. The transitions here are the ones as we know them, either start the mission right away, or stay on the home waypoint, or stay on the start waypoint. After the mission, it's the same thing. Stay on the home waypoint, restart the mission, and so on. Now, on the third tab, we have everything concerning our blocks. You can see I have here several blocks which all are included in my project. My project, you can see here, is a highway project. I have two horizontal mappings which I intend to do with a fixed wing. Then I have here a POI and a panorama mapping. The POI is thought to be used here. Where is it gone? There it is. That is now a bit far away from things. So, voila. Just under there, there is a pillar to hold the highway. So the highway is not on the ground. It's lifted up. It's actually quite high. So this whole thing is a bridge. So I'm interested in more details about this pillar. And this I can do, for example, through a POI mapping with Albris. Then a panorama mission, I might just do because it's giving me a nice picture for marketing or for a project meeting or something like that. In order to change properties and settings of your flight block, you go into the properties through the little drop down here. You can change the name, you can change the camera. You can change the way the drone is flying the area, so plan above either elevation data, which is the default, above takeoff, or fixed altitude. Let me explain this a little bit more. So above takeoff means that the altitude the drone will be flying at will be taken from the position where you launch it, plus then the altitude that you need to be at the resolution that you selected. So if you fly at 2.8 centimeters per pixel with a EB Plus and a SODA camera, you will be 119 meters from the ground. If you take this from ATO, it will be 119 meters from your ATO, ignoring all elevation changes that follow. You can choose AMSL or fixed altitude, where you can just tell the drone, well, I want you to fly at 130 meters. I don't care about anything else. Or then you can select elevation data, where the drone will always keep the 119 meters from the base of the elevation data. So when the elevation data changes, the 119 meters are just added to that to the place or to the elevation data in this location. With that, the drone will of course change slightly altitude during the mission. Therefore, though, you will always have the same resolution in your data set, and therefore the accuracy and precision that you're looking for. And also, you're less at risk to run into any topographical obstacles. Elevation data, for the ones of you who know eMotion 2, replaces also the set absolute waypoint altitude button in the mission planning tab of eMotion 2. So those two are basically the same thing. It's just now the case that this is the default option. Then here we can also change the resolution. We can change the lateral and the longitudinal overlap, where you can see we have here notifications that at the altitude or the resolution that I've chosen here, my longitudinal overlap of 60% with this camera may not be achieved. We have this little message here in the notification. It's yellow. It's just telling me, but I can just ignore that. Whatever. Then on this tab, we have all the safety actions. These we all know, strong wind, coming home in case of strong wind, in case of camera malfunctions, low endurance, proximity detected to the ground, in case of the link loss, or GNS accuracy degrades. Change them only if you are sure about what you're doing. Under this tab here, you can still change your drone selections or platforms or cameras, even if you didn't choose them in your welcome screen. Good. So now next topic. Now we want to connect to a drone. As we know, we can do this here in the lower left-hand corner. Connect. And now we get our connection window. Here we can either connect to a real drone. If you connect your USB modem, your serial number will show up here, and you connect to your drone as you're used to. On the right-hand side, you have the simulator, where you can choose from the types of drones that you made available for this project, for this mission. So we want to do EB+, start simulation. So now you see that we have everything that's related to the drone is now on our right-hand side. This is a bit as we are used to. On the first tab, we have the drone status, autonomy, battery, wind, link quality, information about the flight data, instruments, camera information, and identification of the drone. On the second tab, the camera model and also the camera check available if you need to do so in the field. On the last tab, we find the manual mode settings, about the drone information, logbook information, and here, this is very new, the EB Plus upgrade or activation window. This is probably how you will find your eMotion 3 once you first time have it. if you want to check if you or test your RTK PPK functionality with the simulator, you can just activate it here. Otherwise, if you got a license from us, even the trial license, you need to browse here for the file and connect to your drone through the USB modem, and once you click on Start Upgrade, this license file or activation file will be sent to your EB+. The autopilot recognizes it and activates all the functionalities for RTK and PPK, and no matter to which eMotion Free you connect after that, it will recognize this activation code and recognize the license. Now, where do you get this license file from? This will be here. So you go into My senseFly. Usually when you get your drone, you receive an invitation key. If you don't have a My senseFly account yet, you do your user account, and under My Products, you will find your EB+, your drone, and then just at the very end of the row here, you will find a column called RTK PPK license. And here you can download this activation file. There's even an explanation which takes you to a knowledge base article which leads you through step by step. Here is also the link to this knowledge base article. So you download the file, you connect your drone to your eMotion Free, you browse for the file, and then you start your upgrade. You know that you have upgraded or activated your license by having this tab. If you have this tab, means you have access to RTK and PPK utilities. It hasn't changed much. First of all, you will have to set up your RTK sources, which you can do here. Set up RTK. Here you could add a base station. You specify the type and the connection that you want, and then you will have it in your list. You can do that for all the types of base station that you have or you intend to use. Doesn't have to be just one. Here under the second tab you can add reference points in cases of where you already have measured points and you set up your base station on a known point. This third tab is for the setup of the virtual reference system. You click on the plus sign, you browse for your server. This would be the Swiss one, and then you type in username, password, and so on. You select the stream that you want, click OK, and then you have it in the list. Once you are there, now we can click just OK. So all our sources are defined, and now we just have it here all on the drop-down. So I can now choose to fly in standalone, and then if I want to, I can do PPK during the post-processing with Flight Data Manager. Or I connect to a VRS system, well, right now it doesn't want to, or then to a Trimble base station in this case. Once you have your setup and everything is planned, you are connected either to the simulator like we now, or you're outside and everything is set up, you are ready to assign missions to your drone. Now I see here, I'd probably not be ready yet. My drone doesn't have a start waypoint. So let's fix that. I can assign it a start waypoint. It will not choose automatically because I have several options for it. I'll take the first one here and I assign it by clicking here on this drone icon. Now assigning a mission, I do the same way. You notice that some of my blocks don't have this drone icon here. Well, that means that those blocks are not available for my EB+. I can only fly them with the Albris, to which I'm not connected to. So I can only assign it the real fixed wing blocks where I have here 2 horizontal mappings, and I give it this one. Click it, and now I can simulate my flight if I want to by clicking here in the simulator toolbar on the start, on the launching sign. Now it's still synchronizing mission, taking off. We can do this a bit faster. And there we go. Starts to take pictures, and you can see there is something that has changed a little as well. It's the image footprints. It's a bit difficult to really show them all in 3D. That's why for the moment these are those points. If you drive your mouse over it, you can see the area that is covered by this image. So this is just a different way to control if you have enough overlap or if you're covering the area well. Maybe my approach is here not so good. To change the approach zone. Voila. Of course, you always change approach zones and start waypoints and so on based on the wind directions that you have and the obstacles in your area where you're taking off. So now the drone was faster than the voice, but that's okay for today, I guess. So now we have our flight, and you can see here we didn't finish the mission, therefore we have our progress is not at 100%, it's at 70%. Now if I would leave the mission and come back tomorrow, I could just resume the mission, either here through the flight tab or even the transition settings. I could have start or resume. We'll make the drone automatically resume that mission that you've done yesterday or before or so without you having to deal with waypoints and deactivating waypoints and making sure that the camera starts and so on. So, next step. You go back to the office with your data and you do importation. This you do here through the function tab called post-flight. Post-flight just means flight data manager, and basically nothing has changed about it. You choose the day where you've done your flight. I choose now a flight that I did here. Again, if you don't have if you didn't do the flight with the laptop that you're dealing with now, then you won't have this calendar option because the eMotion flight log is not available. If it is though available, you'll have the calendar and you can choose from the list of flights that you have done at that day. You give it a name, webinar, whatever. Place where putting it is good, and the name format is also good. Here you have the steps how you need to connect to your drone in order to import your data. With EB, it's still that you need to connect through the USB cable to your drone in order to get the flight log. And the images you get then from your SD card, or if you copied it to your folder or on your hardware, you get it from there. So from here we go next. I now browse to my flight log. There we go. Go next. So far nothing has changed. It's still the normal workflow. Now, this step looks a bit different. You have two options here under the drop-down. One says, standalone, geotag your images with low accuracy. The other says, PPK, process drones raw GNSS data. Let's look at standalone option. Standalone option is what we've been doing so far without doing PPK, and we have here a little statistical analysis about the accuracy of our geotags. So this flight was done in standalone mode, so no corrections sent, therefore we have normal GNSS accuracy of around 5 meters. Now if we are not happy with this, we can go and do PPK, where we will need the reference file from a reference base station of either our own reference station, or maybe you have access to a statewide reference network that provides data from core station or through a VRS system. I have now such a RINEX file, and I go and browse to the observation file. We'll also need the two navigation files, and GLONASS one, and then from there it finds all the information that it needs directly within the RINEX file. It's better to control it, but it should be all correct. Now from there you can click Next. Now it's doing actually PPK on your geotags. We are almost there. And by the way, we'll be doing in beginning of February next year, we'll be doing a senseFly Academy session about PPK, RTK, all in much more detail, so that really everyone understands what this is and how it works. So no worries if this is now a little bit too fast. Okay, there we go, and we have a little summary here where we can compare our accuracy of the geotags before the flight and after the flight. So compared to before we had the 5.7 meters or normal GNSS accuracy, and now with PPK we have all the geotags in an accuracy of 4 centimeters. From here we can click Next. Now the process is normal. We can just go find our images. There we go. And we click Next. 100% match. Very good. Now we're importing the images and the geotags are written to the EXIF file. Now here under the outputs, besides having the ones that we already know, write geotags into image files, create the geoinfo text file, create the pix4d file and the KML flight trajectory, we have here upload images to pix4d cloud option. In order to activate this, you have to go into the options under clouds. Now let me just quickly do this, then you can see how this works. Check. Login successful, so basically you have to log in into your pix4d service. Let's see, it didn't update it yet. Next. Now it's updated, so it's active. I can click it. I click Next. And now you have this window popping up where it says that it's being the project is being uploaded to pix4d cloud. And then there it will automatically process based on the processing template that you define in your account as your favorite one. In eMotion 2, otherwise, on this last step in Flight Data Manager, it's all as we know. We can open the pix4d file, we can open the KML file if we have with Google Earth or some other software, and then the project folder. I have done the pix4d project before with the cloud process, and here you can see this is, you will receive an email that will tell you that everything has been processed and that you can now access your results, and you will get a preview of your data. This would be the auto mosaic, and this would be the 3D. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. There we go. And from here you can then download all the different types of data, your quality report, mesh, point cloud, orthomosaic, and so on. In eMotion Free, though, we have a couple more things to cover before we leave. Updater. So there's a function tab now, Updater, through which you can either update the firmware of your EB or EB Plus or your Albrace. Just make sure to change the tab here. Then we have the logbook, which we can export to a CSV file. In the options, which were called preferences before, you can change your preferences like we know it, user interface, and it's actually here where you now can import custom maps and elevation data, making this a bit smaller again. Features, which would be KML, polygons, or points, whichever you want to import. Okay, import is only done here through the options now. Log, folder, flight data, this we all know. Airspace and traffic, this is a new tab. Here you have the option to connect to AirNav Pro, which is an app that is used by other pilots. And then you can send information about your drone flight or receive information back about pilots of other aircraft in the airspace where you're planning your mission. Under Help, we have the user manuals. They are now split into software manual, drone manuals, payload manuals, and access to knowledge base and release notes.